Testing.
Good. Today is Monday, May 1st, 2023, and we'll call this meeting to order at 5:36 p.m. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will start member introductions with Councillor Scott.
Excuse me, Linda Scott, Lewiston City Council Representative.
Paul Popelant, Ward 7 Representative.
Megan Hurd, Ward 6.
Ash Medina, Ward 5.
Tanya Whitlow, Ward 4.
Elizabeth Eames, Ward 3.
Janet Bowden, Ward 2.
Bruce Damon, Ward 1.
Megan Parks at large.
Jake Langler, Superintendent.
Karen Paquette, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that members would like set aside? Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Item number 4 is public input. Members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on non-agenda items now and on agenda items later. The comments that pertain to staff, personnel matters, or student issues should be directed to the superintendent or the appropriate staff member of Lewiston Public Schools. Public comments shall be directed to the school committee and be brief, not repetitive, and related to the matter at hand. Before starting, please state your name, address, and affiliation to Lewiston Public Schools. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, we will move along to agenda item number 5, which is report from our student reps who are not here tonight. And now we will move on to recognize Lewiston Public Schools students.
Bear with me, my singing voice is hurting a little bit. I can assure everyone I've been treated and I'm feeling better than I did. So it sounds worse than it is. But we do have some guests tonight, and I didn't know if Director Callahan could come up to the front to the podium. We have some students here joining us who have had some very, very good success at the state level, and we have some aspirations going that we could have some success at the national level. So I'd like to turn the mic over to you, and we have some certificates for some students that were able to join us tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here this evening to introduce some of our Skills USA local, state, and some national competitors. For those of you who don't know, Skills USA is the largest career and technical student organization in the world. It encompasses some 300,000 or 400,000 students worldwide and faculty as well. And the Heart of Skills USA is not just about competitions. It's about building leadership. It's about understanding the world of work and really developing those skills within yourselves that allow students to go on to be successful both professionally and personally in later life. So in just a second, I'd like to introduce those students, but I would also, if you bear with me for just a quick second, also like to point out that we have our two Skills USA LRTC chapter advisors here with us this evening, Mr. Paul Kennedy, who's our plumbing instructor, and Ms. Jess Doohan, who is our multimedia instructor. And to say that the work of a Skills USA chapter advisor is considerable would be an understatement. They put in all kinds of times on nights and weekends. They're traveling with the Skills USA contingency down to Atlanta, where they'll spend a week. And they do this without complaint. And they've done this for the last several years. And the chapter that we have is a credit to the work that they've invested. So I guess I would ask them to come up to be recognized, but then also they can introduce the students that have joined us here this evening. Mr. Kennedy, Ms. Doohan, come on up.
These kids have gone through a ton of work and mental preparation. So yes, we do the behind the scenes stuff and we get them all ready to go, but the amount of work and just seeing them do what they do is pretty awesome to see. So like next year, if you guys can make it up there, it would be really great to see them, or go on we have a full week of local competitions that they're going to be doing. We do have a packet for you guys we have 451 students competed locally this year. And that number is a little bit higher because some of those competed in 2, 3, 4 competitions. How many? 48 competition areas that they could compete in that we held locally here for them. And we took 81 students up to the state level. And then we had the 52, I think we gave out that listing beforehand, but you do have another copy in your packet coming. 52 medalists at the state, which is really great. It's awesome when you're in that big room and keep hearing Lewiston called. So it's pretty awesome for all of us. But I'm glad to be here, do what I do, and glad to have them here with us.
Good evening. One of the things that LRTC does is allow students to build skills. And they build skills in a number of ways. And one of the things we do at the beginning of the year is we have an assembly. Mr. Callahan gets out there, and I've heard this so many times, and it's so true about the students that go to LRTC. And he encourages them to take a moderate risk. And a moderate risk is what all of these students have done. They've all worked really hard, and they've done really well for themselves, and we couldn't be prouder of them.
If you guys could come up, say your name, what you competed in, and your medal, which.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ben. I guess I'll start first. I was competing in plumbing knowledge. Every night I'd study on my plumbing code book. It was restless, but I did it. Mostly just because I wanted to improve myself. Even though I got bronze, doesn't make me want to stop. It makes me want to improve myself further. So next year, when I do the actual plumbing competition, which is a tedious and very difficult competition, I can improve myself and hopefully go to nationals next year. That's my real goal. And when I hopefully achieve that next year, I will be grateful that I had skills to be here. That's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Brooke. I competed in the Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl, and I remember just like looking at the news every night, seeing what was happening around the world, because I did know that there would be questions about it, and it really helped me build my communication skills with having to communicate with my team, seeing what the answer was, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Faisal Abdurrahman. I competed in the medical math competition. I'm really grateful that skills was offered in our technical program, because like I'm able now, because I'm trying to pursue medical field after undergrad. So I feel like this helped me a lot. Now I know what to study for in the future. And even if I didn't get gold, I got silver. which I'm still very grateful for. And I'm grateful that skills, that I was able to do skills in the first place.
I'm Natalie Bowden. I also competed in medical math and I won gold and I plan on going to nationals in June.
Hi, I'm Marguerite Shepherd. This is my second year doing skills. Last year, I got to go to nationals in advertising design. And this year, I was fortunate enough that I get to go again to nationals. So I'll be competing this June. And I'm very glad to be up here and advocating for skills tonight. Thank you.
If we could get advisors and students to come up, we have a little certificate for the students, but I also wanted to say in my patchwork voice here, to the advisors who help coordinate all of these activities for kids to create the experiences that they will remember for the rest of their lives. We cannot thank you enough. I know it's behind the scenes work, but sometimes it's long and it's organized and it's detailed. And not only as advisors, but I know personally, both of you in your respective programs are considered to be some of the best educators our state has. So thank you very much for all of the work that you do to make it happen for kids.
Congratulations, Mom, Member Bowden.
So, yeah. Yeah. Master Sergeant. Rob, did you want to put a plug in for the trip for them to go to Atlanta as far as the funding?
So I'd be happy to do that. We do have our permission request on a successive agenda item, if that'd be a better time, or I'd be happy to do it now.
Oh, I guess I don't want to try. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Natalie, would you mind coming back up to the podium? I have a quick question for you, if you wouldn't mind. What do you plan on doing at nationals?
Is it on? Yeah. So like what our schedule's like?
No, what do you plan on doing? What do you are hoping the outcome is?
Oh, well, I hope to place. I mean, I've never done anything like this before, so I mean, just having this opportunity is enough, but hopefully placing in top 3. I mean, that's my goal.
That's great. Love it. So I called you back up for one reason. I thought you would say top 3, so that's good. But I also I heard news recently that you've received an offer to go to college and play a sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you say a little bit about that?
I got a full scholarship offer to play basketball at the University of Vermont.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We don't always hear about the full boat scholarship offers for some of our students. Skills does a lot of the scholarship opportunities too. But just while we had you here, I thought it'd be good to say that right out loud in public, even though your mom probably didn't want me to. But congratulations.
Thank
And I know you put in a lot of hard work as has the students around you. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Mr. Langus, if I could, just one other that I'm aware of, but Faisal has, true, Stabi, but has a full scholarship to Bowdoin for next year.
Yeah, have him come up.
Who am I missing?
Faisal, if you could share a little bit about your journey towards your full scholarship.
So I got the full scholarship through QuestBridge. If you don't know, QuestBridge is a scholarship opportunity application type thing where it's an opportunity for I think first generation low income students to go to school And I'm so happy that Cuthbert exists because, you know, kids like me are able to get the best education they can. And I'm just really grateful. I mean, this helped me, I mean, more than anything. And I'm really excited to go. So
Congratulations.
Agenda item number 7 is to receive a presentation from cadets on their trip to Washington, DC, and is it Sergeant Wellborn? Mr. Wellborn will be presenting.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This one here, there we go. Yeah, I'm Sergeant Gibson, Master Sergeant Jerry Gibson. Colonel Wellborn was originally scheduled to be here tonight, but he couldn't be here. So, but he, you know, sends his well wishes. Yes, I came here a little while ago. We told you we wanted to go to Washington, DC, and the board had asked for some cadets to present. And so you don't want to hear me talk. I'm going to introduce Scott Almquist, Cadet Colonel, who accompanied us on the trip. And yeah, he's going to tell you about how that went.
So my name's Scott Almquist, the cadet commander at the Air Force JROTC High School. The trip to DC was amazing. It was really great. It was an amazing opportunity to be able to go down to our capital and learn about the things that have happened there. I mean, it was a obnoxiously long train ride down that I don't think any of us really enjoyed, but once we got there, it was really great. So went to, oh, I got it over there. Okay.
Yeah, you're in charge of me tonight. So just when you want me to click, you just throw me a point.
You can go ahead and click. So one of the things the first thing that we visited on Friday morning is we went to Arlington National Cemetery. That was my personal favorite place that we went of the whole trip. You know, originally I was thinking like, oh, yay, a cemetery and it's Arlington. I'm sure it'll be nice, you know, see the classic graves, whatever. But we got there and I was just kind of blown away by how beautiful it was. We went to, I mean, obviously you can see the bottom, what is that, bottom right there, you can get the classic graves, but we also visited the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We got to witness a couple of the ceremonies that they do there, presenting bouquets and flowers. And that is where one of our cadets had a presentation about the cherry trees in Washington, DC, which unfortunately we missed by just like a week. We missed the full blooming, but there was still a couple pink trees every now and again. We also, of course, wandered just around the National Mall. You know, we are a JROTC, so of course we had to go visit all the war memorials. So it's us at the World War II Memorial, and there's the Washington Monument. It's really powerful to be able to walk around down there and see the things. And, you know, you see stone structures, marble structures, granite structures, whatever, of stuff of, you know, wars that we did or for people. But you get there and it makes you think about our country's history and the people in the military that have died for our freedoms, and for the people, the presidents, the whatever, that have sacrificed, you know, their time, their effort into making our country what it is today. Then, of course, because we're Air Force, we had to visit the Air and Space Museum. It's really impressive in there. It's a massive, well, it's two massive hangars, actually, the Udvar-Hazy. You walk in and you're in the middle of the first hangar, which is the biggest, which is loaded with dozens and dozens and dozens of aircraft. It's a little unfortunate that none of us thought to get up on one of the catwalks and like take a picture down and you just get the massiveness of it. And then, you know, there's another giant hangar stuck on the other side, which is, you know, a space shuttle and all the space stuff in it. Which don't know why I didn't put up one of the pictures, one of the space shuttles. That was pretty cool. It's the Discovery, I think, is the space shuttle that's at the Udvar-Hazy. And that was amazing to be able to wander around, you know, aviation history right there. And as an Air Force JROTC, aviation is kind of, you know, important and interesting to most of us. So it was amazing to be able to walk around down there among history for aircraft. And of course, it's the Capitol, so we had to go visit the U.S. Capitol building. That was really impressive. I think that's my favorite picture we got at the whole trip, is us on the steps there with the dome in the background. It was really amazing to be able to walk around, see where our nation's representatives and our senators, they walk around these places every day and they run our country. So it was really impressive to be able to walk around down there and see what they get to see every day, pretty much. And then, of course, there's also the White House. Very long wait for the White House, but it was rather interesting once we got inside. You get to walk around. You can see some of the buildings. That's the picture there is outside the Oval Office. So unfortunately, we did not get to see into the Oval Office, but that's a little understandable. But it was very impressive being able to walk around in there. And again, same thing, this is where the president walks. I've walked where the president walks. It's kind of a cool thing to say. And then we have the Air Force Memorial. Again, we are Air Force JROTC, so we can't really take a trip to Washington, D.C. without visiting the Air Force Memorial. And, just like the monuments on the Washington Mall, it's very powerful being able to stand there amidst, we don't just make these things because we got some extra money, so let's go make a sculpture or something. There's a reason why we've spent the time and the money to build these things in our nation's capital. And you have to think about, the men and the women that have served and died and sacrificed so much for us. And it's pretty powerful. And then, of course, we went to a baseball game. That was just fun. I think that's what most people enjoyed the most on the entire trip. It was the Washington Nationals. I think it was against the Cleveland Guardians. That actually kind of split our trip in two, because we have a couple cadets that are originally from outside Cleveland. So they were kind of, egging some people on to vote for the Guardians. And then, there were some people like, well, we're in Washington, D.C. We should root for the Nationals. But it was pretty fun to be able to get up there and for a Friday night, just watch a baseball game. Is that the last thing? That might be the last thing on it. All right. So, and it was the long train ride back as well, but it was still an amazing experience. I'm pretty sure everybody had lots of fun. It was, our program, we're usually split up into, what do you have, six? We have 6 different classes, and, people are broken up into those 6 classes, and not a lot of the time do people get to go out and see other people in those classes, even though we're all in the same program, we're all part of the same unit. And I think this, one of the big things about this was it was a great opportunity for people from these different classes to be able to meet each other and to make friends. And it was amazing to see how well everybody got along with each other. And it's amazing. Thank you.
I want to put one more plug in for Scott, since we're talking about scholarships. Scott is hardworking young man, gets amazing grades, and recently, go ahead, don't be shy.
I have a full boat scholarship through the Navy to Maine Maritime Academy.
Scott, if you wouldn't mind, Assistant Superintendent Paquette's going to get a picture of you.
You want me in front of the podium, next to the podium?
You could stand together
Okay.
in front of would be great. Congratulations, great job. Thank you for presenting.
Member Scott.
So I am so impressed right now. This is exactly what our community needs to see. These amazing, amazing students and what they're doing in our schools and the achievements that they are fulfilling and the goals that they have. And I just think that they deserve another round of applause, all of them, because I'm thoroughly impressed.
Next item is to receive and potentially vote on a field trip request to the University of Maine at Farmington for project graduation.
And it looks like we have Ms. Poole joining us at the podium.
There you go. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Alex Poulin. I am one of the co-advisors for the class of 2023 here at LHS. This year, project graduation will be held at the University of Maine at Farmington on Friday, June 2nd, after the commencement. And I think I am here to talk to you guys about what UMF looks like. It will be in the field house, which is, it's like their gym. So it's kind of like basketball courts that are all lined up together. There is a swimming pool. We have things lined up that are, you know, normal of project grads. We have a hypnotist and a comedian. We're going to get a karaoke machine. We're going to have a photo booth. Even though they're 18 years old, they want face paint. So, you know, things, things of that nature.
Member Bowden?
Thank you. So just as far as the pool and the 2 lifeguards on duty, I saw, and I know that they're mostly 18 years old, but is there still a permission slip that goes home?
There is
for-
still a permission slip, and
Okay.
yep, they will all need to be returned. We'll double check them before they get on the bus. The 2 lifeguards are provided by UMF. It's part of the kind of package deal. We will have to split the kids in groups because we, as you all know, we have a huge school, and as big as the pool might be, it's not going to fit them all. So I believe we'll have to split them into 4 groups, and they'll, you know, take turns if they want to go swimming.
Member Hurd?
Thank you. I didn't see anything on there about food, or maybe I just missed it.
Yeah, so every year, there's kind of a core group of Lewiston staff that drive up and do a barbecue. And so people have already volunteered for that. So there is going to be burgers and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff. And then there will be, you know, throughout the night, snacks, you know, chips and, you know, cookies and all that stuff. Which we are asking for donations, reaching out to local businesses, and then we will supplement with what we need to from our budget for the senior class.
I was just going to add the 2 things. One, there's always plenty of food. They do a good job with that. And thanks to the crew who's not here tonight that helps put that on. It's actually impressive. They bring our nutrition grills and they set up tables and they do a whole walkthrough with options for students. They can pick what they want. They can come back if they wish. But also that the class of 23 has not had the opportunity to raise funds like other classes because of the pandemic. And so if anybody is interested in donating or contributing to that effort, please reach out to Ms. Poulin.
Yes, please. And then Abby Ruscher, who's a chemistry teacher, is my co-advisor as well. She couldn't be here tonight. She lives a little further away than I do, so.
Somebody like to make a motion? Member Bowden?
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to make a motion to approve this field trip for project graduation.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. And I want to let you guys know, I got a full scholarship too. I just wanted to be a part of it.
That was great.
The next item is to receive and potentially vote on a field trip request to the Skills USA National Conference in Atlanta, Georgia.
And it looks like we have Rob and Jess and Paul coming up to the podium again.
So we are pleased to be here to present this request. And I'm going to ask my co-advisors to sort of walk you through the logistics as they will be the ones that are attending. And again, we have a packet of information here which can help you a little bit.
Can I have one of those?
Of course. There you go.
So yes, I'm a multimedia teacher, but I like to print. So you're getting everything in print in front of you. It's a lot easier that way. So as you heard us say, those students we've narrowed down from 451 have gone locally competing down to the state competitors. And now we're down to 5 that are looking to go for the national conference. So the first page that you get in there is that breakdown in case you wanted those statistics at all of what they are, just as a refresher. These students have worked very hard for this, and the trip down there is something that just changes them dramatically. The place that we go that they actually compete, just so you can kind of get a feel for it, Have you guys all been in the Augusta Civic Center? Augusta Civic Center is about 49,000 square feet. This is 1.75 million square feet. So you could put about 37 of 36 of those buildings into this one building that we're in. It takes approximately 20 minutes to walk from one competition to the other to check on our students, to be with them. So it's pretty amazing. And then being around Atlanta and being able to experience that is pretty awesome for these kids. So we gave you that in there. We also gave you a list of all the medals that we did win at states with all the students, the gold, silver, bronze listing. Along with listings for who the national competitors are and who the chaperones are. There's 4 chaperones this year. Mr. Kennedy, myself will be driving down because we have to take the equipment down. Otherwise, we're gonna have to try to ship everything and hopefully that it gets down there right. So we decided to drive down again. We drove last year without any issue. Then we have 2 other chaperones. Tony Scherer, I never can pronounce that right, chef here. And also Kelsey Poliquin will be going down. They'll be flying down with the students. So those names and contact information is in there in case you need anything from us also. I gave you a tentative schedule. The week is very full for these students. There's lots of stuff for them to do. There's some amazing stuff that the National Conference puts on for them. They take the Centennial Park and they turn it into a huge field night for the students. They do a huge fireworks show for them. They hire in a famous DJ. I never know who they are, but apparently they're famous to them. They have food trucks and just an entire day of field games and everything for them, which is really cool. So you can see our tentative schedule is really, really full, and it only gets more packed than that as we go along for those days. We are working on some fundraising stuff. That stuff is in there for you also. This sheet that describes the fundraising, this is what was sent out with students, and they're approaching people in the community, businesses, partners of LRTC that we have with our programs with advisory committees, asking for donations. We think it's really good for them to put some skin in the game and to get out there and put the words out that that's what they're looking for. We also have set up a GoFundMe for them. Right now, we're just over $1,700, which is a really great amount to be getting in, I think. So that one's ongoing. And then we also have the small sheet of paper that you have in front of you. We just launched the apparel sale today for LRTC swag because it seems like that's what all the kids want and staff too, apparently. So that's our other one that we're doing right now. And we're trying to just get as much as we can for funding for it. Do you have any questions about the trip? It's a lot of information I just threw at you.
Member Scott?
Who do we give this to after we want to order a shirt?
Any of our front office staff or any skills
Okay.
advisor.
Thank you.
Member Whitlow?
Yeah, what is your deadline for you guys trying to raise money? And then if you're not able to raise what you need, when would you be coming back to ask for more?
Don't know what the deadline would be for that.
Can I jump in? One idea that I expressed to Director Callahan was we knew that they would have some skin in the game. The kids are working at it. They're publishing things. They're posting things. They're Ms. Newton, is this your class that's going to create that, right?
Yes.
So the marketing material, the actual products that are being sold, they're all student generated as part of the coursework. And my 2 cents, having talked to some of the members, was with them having skin in the game, and if we can afford it and appropriate it by way of the school committee's approval, we could in fact, or you could in fact, approve tonight that the remaining costs of the trip be carried by Lewiston Public Schools. The funds you had appropriated prior for robotics, should they have gone to Texas, they made a great run. However, they didn't make it to Texas. So we do believe we have the funds that we could use locally to support the kids in this adventure.
Member Whitlow?
Can you just remind us how much we approved for the skills? The other one, was it around 11,000?
I think mock trial was, I want to say 14, 16, something in that range. And then we did hear from the robotics club that I think that they were saying that could be as much as $20,000 if they made it to the next round. So there was some pretty big dollar items.
So we approved that, so we've got plenty of funds. Okay, perfect.
Member Popola?
Thank you. Could I have a clarification on the last page on the total cost? Seems like a lot of zeros there.
Yeah, there's a one extra zero in there.
Thank you.
That was mine filling it out. And as a plumber, you know that we always add too many zeros to our estimate.
And that cost is the student plus the chaperone cost for that. The students portion with the extra, we had a few more admission type of pricing come up, and now the subway is not being provided for us. We need subway cards and everything. So the total cost is about 10,500 for it, and we're expecting to have, well, we already have about, I donated 1,500 from my class. Mr. Peter Geiger had given 500 as a donation, plus our GoFundMe already. So we've gotten a portion, quite a big, good portion of it with the work from everybody so far.
Member Hurd?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the field trip and fund any additional funds that they may need outside of what they raise on their own.
I'll second that.
Member Scott, did you have a comment or? Okay. Is there any further discussion? Member Bowden?
I'm not sure I should vote on this. I just wanted to get your. No, okay, I'm gonna sit out on this vote.
All in favor? And abstain one.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Just to note publicly that the abstention was because Member Bowden has a student that will be competing on this trip. So that's the reason for the abstention.
Agenda item number 10 is to receive and potentially vote on field trip requests to the LL Bean Outdoor Adventure in Freeport for Geiger, Farwell, Connors, and McMahon.
So I'm going to ask our 21st Century Program Director, Andrea Sullivan, to come to the podium. And I'll just mention that this is the same field trip that you received last summer. You received photos of the students kayaking at LL Bean. So Ms. Sullivan's here to get permission to take students back to the same location.
Yes. Which button, or is it on? We're on? Okay, great. So nice to meet you all. Brand new to Lewiston, and I'm absolutely in awe and so excited for all the students here. This is just wonderful to hear, especially someone new who's Lewiston and new to Maine. So yes, the students in the elementary 21st Century programs did attend the LL Bean Adventure Camp last year. It was well received not only by the students, but also by the staff. They're very excited to want to bring that back. It's a good connection to our curriculum for this year, which we're going to have the theme of our environment and our impact on the environment. The LL Bean staff will be focusing in on some of the species and animals and items that might be there, as bald eagles, potentially harbor sea lions, osprey. So they'll hopefully catch sight of some wildlife. It's very safe. I reviewed the protocol with my contact person at LL Bean. The students will arrive and they'll have the safety debriefing. And at that point, their certified sea kayakers will fit them for their flotation devices. So it's not just put it on and buckle, but they're fitted. There's obviously the sea kayaker staff that will be with them the whole time, and our staff as well. And that's pretty much it. So I said a good connection to our theme this year, and pretty well reviewed the protocol. There will be, I heard you mention a permission slip. There is a permission slip that will go home to families for those kids specifically, as we're just taking the rise in sixth graders this year.
Will the permission slips be in multiple languages for?
Yes.
Perfect,
Yes.
thank you. Member Hurd?
So mine was kind of along that lines. Do you need to bring an interpreter with you? Will you be bringing an interpreter with you?
I don't believe they took an interpreter last year. It's something that we can evaluate for the students that are participating. In my experience, I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time at Connors specifically in their programming, and I haven't had a need for one in the afternoon program. That being said, the summer program is a little bit larger. That's something that I can work in conjunction with the site coordinator. Is actually kind of two that just to see if that would be necessary.
Member Ames?
Archery's mentioned on the form. I'm wondering what that entails.
Oh, archery. So yes, so I think that is new this year. That is something that they would have 28 students maximum that would be able to attend. And what's nice is we'll be able to bring a few more children. So last year they're only able to have 14 students with them in the kayaking. So what we're able to do is the students will kayak 14 and then 14 will be in archery. Same thing, they'll obviously have the safety briefing. They will have skilled staff with them the whole entire time, as well as our staff. And then they'll swap. So they'll probably get about an hour apiece of time.
It is in fact archery, though. It's longbow with practice arrows, and they shoot into targets. They're trained how, and they have some chances to practice.
I was on the college archery team myself.
Oh,
Biased.
wonderful.
Member Bowden?
Thank you. I have kind of a logistics question and then my intention is to make a motion.
Sure.
I noticed that on the Geiger permission slip, it also says with Farwell students.
Yes.
So are they combined?
Yes, we're going to combine the programs where we're only taking the one grade, and Barrow is a pretty small program and Geiger is probably the next one as far as smaller. It just for the what LLB had available for dates and what days we're running, that worked better to combine the two programs. That being said, they do start at 2 different times. I'm going to work out the bus logistics with it. I would like to stick with one bus. It could be a small chance perhaps of 2.
Okay. So with that, I guess I would make a motion to approve the kayaking and archery field trip for Geiger, Barwell, Connors, and McMahon.
Member Eames?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous.
All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Agenda item number 11 is to receive and potentially vote on the list of teacher contract renewals for the 23-24 school year.
So this is an annual nomination. Essentially, you have a long list of staff that are through our administrative evaluation process have been nominated for approval to continue.
Does anyone have any questions? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the list presented for the teacher contract renewals for the 23-24 school year.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ms. Whitlow.
No, I just looking at our big list. I just want to reiterate how new our teachers are and the supports that they need. And it just shows that there's been a lot of turnover in the last few years, and kudos to these new teachers for sticking with us. So yes, congratulations.
I did notice there's some names on the list that were Lewiston Public School teachers a few years ago and had left and have come back. And so that's a good sign.
We've actually had some nice conversations with some folks who, as you said, left us, who said, we really like the direction you're pointed and the way things are going. It feels really stable and things are moving in the right direction. So they came back.
It's good to see. All in favor? It's unanimous. Agenda item number 12 is to receive and review the LPS fiscal year 22 audit.
We met with the finance committee to review the books that you have in front of you. I would welcome you to look through the books and see if you have any questions. But really, in its totality, what this says is we landed exactly where we said we were. So there's accuracy in this audit. Excuse me. If you look at things like fund balance and you see duplication of numbers, that's what you want to see. You want to see what what we have on the books and what we actually have is matching. So I didn't have a big presentation around it as far as the detailed sheets go. Finance committee, I don't know if you want to chime in, but certainly we can entertain any questions you have now or even later after you have more time to look through it. But again, from an audit approach, there were no major sightings or issues with any of the audit. So we feel pretty strong about that.
Member Eames?
I just have a clarification question, the dates. So it's published June 30th of 22, or it started June 30th of 22?
So this is an audit of the fiscal year that ended last year.
June 30th of, okay, so it's last year's
Yeah,
audit.
so it
now
goes
finished.
through the fall and the
Got it.
winter and
Thank
then
you.
we
I
get
just
the
wanted
books.
clarification.
Yep.
Member Whitlow?
Thank you. Do we normally have the auditing company do a presentation with us, or is this something different?
So we've had them come in the past. What we're also finding is that sometimes that costs us money. But also this year where there were no findings or errors or things that we had to go into great detail to explain because our bookkeeping has gotten better. I felt like we could go through and share the books with you directly.
Yes, Member Whitlow.
So are we going to be going through this evening, or are we taking time? Because I don't know what I'm looking at. I mean, I honestly like need somebody to break things down,
Yeah, we can flip through it and go through some highlights. That's not a
but
problem.
I don't want to sit here forever. I could always meet with you guys later. If I have questions, I'll try to go through things on my own, but
Sure.
like I think one of the questions that I had was, we had talked a lot about fund balance.
Yep.
And I thought you had mentioned there was like that 4 million, is it 4 million? 400,000? Well, I don't even know now.
I think in one of our more recent conversations, one of the questions you had brought up was if we're using 5 million to start our budget this year in fund balance, what would that leave us if we used additional fund balance? And that's where we got that 4 million number. So this audit process, what it does is it verifies the funds that are actually available at the end of last fiscal year. So this is just a validation of funds that we already knew about. And then this happens every year. So there's always this lag in fund balance. So in the framework of budget, yes, we would end up with around 4 million with the budget that's been proposed, if that continues to move forward. But this validation process will happen again, and then we'll end up with new fund balance from the current fiscal year of things that we have not spent. And always my long-term concern is as we cut positions that are unfilled, that fund balance will shrink because that money will go away. And then if you look at page 7, you can see the fund balance very bottom of the page. And GAP just stands for the general accounting practices. You see a $15,879,000 number. So that is the total fund balance, but of that, about 5.8 is encumbered for something else or has restrictions on how it can be spent. So that's where we start with like 10 and we work our way down. Bill, did you want to add to that?
So kind of the meat and potato numbers is going to be pages 5, 6, and 7. On page 5, that kind of gives you our balance sheet. So that's going to be where our fund balance is. And you'll hear us say things like assigned and unassigned fund balance. So if we look in the left column, general fund, and we go all the way down, you'll see some items, the 108,000, the 213,000, and then the 5 million. Those kind of fall into your assigned, meaning when they were doing the audit, they got information that said those funds are being used for something else. So the encumbrance were items that we had still open POs for, and those needed to be paid for. There were some prepaid items up at the 108, and then the $5 million is what we're using in this current fiscal year for the fund balance. Then when you get to unassigned, that's your magic number of how much do we have fund balance. Unassigned is the number you're looking at, and that's 10,556,000 and so on. And then what Jake was referencing on page 7, that walks you up to the 15 million, because that's your assigned and unassigned together. We also have it broken out. So general fund is kind of what we build the budget around and everything, but the other things are school grant funds. And those really kind of have you'll notice there's nothing unassigned in there. Those are all kind of spoken for, but it's going through and making sure they balance. Adult education programs runs a little bit like the general fund, but it is its own fund. Same with school nutrition. And then you have the total. So if you look at that total fund balance and you go all the way over to the right-hand column, you say, well, it looks like we have a fund balance of 17,900,000, almost $18 million. We really don't, because of all the assigned stuff. So that kind of gets to be the meat and potatoes of what you're seeing when you look at this audit. The other pages are going to the text is going to just explain to you how and what they go about for the audit process. Hang on just a second. So the other piece of information, and if we go back a year ago, so the city had a presentation by the auditors at one of the city council meetings, which included because we're all part of the city. But going back a year and a half ago, there was the word of the red flags maybe. And the red flags come in the form of a management letter. And really what a management letter is and how they define it, RHR, is that offers opportunities for strengthening internal controls and improving operating efficiencies for Lewiston Public Schools. So we do have things that come in a management letter, and I can just go over those for you, and I can actually provide this to you. And we talked about this with Finance Committee. And I think we might have talked about it at a school committee meeting, but our student activity funds, those are funds that reside in the schools. It's a checking account that has cash that goes into it. Those are just for student activities. That has been something that we kind of have known that we've had to change. And I think with a lot of turnover within the business office and within the school department, that project kind of got shelved, but we have been working on that to make sure that those funds are only for student activity funds and that we're having a protocol to bring anything else that might be brought in. So for example, somebody says, here's $500 to buy your teacher's coffee. That shouldn't be going through an activity fund. That should come to central office. It should be put into a special revenue account, and then we should do it there. There's a payroll reconciliation. That was a big one, and Adam had really taken on that project. That was getting our business office to full staff, which was doing the reconciliation on a monthly basis as opposed to say a quarterly, or even sometimes it was like 6 months. So we're doing that on a monthly basis and getting that taken care of. There was two that we were kind of surprised about. One was accrued compensation. So we have to tell how much vacation time we have for our staff members and how much is accrued so that they can write that as a liability, right? Because if somebody leaves, they're entitled to that vacation time. However, one of our contracts doesn't speak to that at all. And so they were wondering why we're accounting that as a liability because, and I'm quite certain I'm right about this, but the state doesn't say you have to pay people for unused vacation times. Your contracts and your personnel policies actually speak to that. And most often those are considered a benefit. So where one of ours didn't have it spelled out in there that would be a liability, they were wondering why we were calling it a liability. So asked us to clean that up. And then the last one came from grants, and this is probably, I'm going to kind of speculate that this is probably coming because of all the federal monies that have come into the state. So auditors are looking at this a little deeper, but they want to know when you're awarding a contract or funds to a third party that you've looked at the suspension and debarment on the federal site sam.gov, essentially saying that this company that you're working with is not barred from receiving federal funds because of something that they did or something that happened. And you run that name on sam.gov and you might get a no find, like, you're searching and you get absolutely nothing that comes out, and you're to print that sheet out and include it. One of the things that they were looking at with one of our vendors was we didn't have that document in there. And we kind of looked at it as, well, this particular vendor, there's only one other vendor like them in the state. The state uses them as a vendor, and many schools use it as a vendor. So we just essentially said, well, what you should be doing is just having that paperwork just in case there was a debarment, and you want to make sure that you're not giving somebody federal funds that shouldn't have it.
But just to be clear, we did not give someone federal funds. that
Correct.
Should not have.
The right.
It's the accounting practices and having the paperwork signed off.
Yeah.
And this was for the food service in part. So it was a major vendor that is statewide that, again, the state uses, that the state recommended. So.
Well, and we could potentially use them through the state too. You know what I'm saying? That like, even though they are our vendor and they bring stuff to us, we could buy through the state through this vendor. So we're making an assumption that they were obviously debarred.
Member Scott?
Thank you. I think the biggest takeaway for me this year was that we didn't have red flags. We didn't really have, when we talk about, as Bill just stated, some of those management letter recommendations are really kind of, they're good recommendations. We need to continue looking at the student funding and then that one student fund and the suggestions that they made, but those weren't significant things to cause anybody to go, oh my, we need to. And I think what this really pointed out this year is that we're seeing some really good accounting being done in our school department. We're seeing it done correctly. We're seeing things put in the proper places where they're supposed to be. And I think it was all a really good report. I did read through the whole report along with the one that came to city council, and there was nothing that I felt was a significant issue to be addressed. I would still suggest you read it if you want to. It's tough, but it's there. Yeah.
It's a good read. I really like this stuff. I also want to say publicly, working with the city and with Heather has been really beneficial. They're good partners. We bounce stuff off each other. We work together on some of the big items, and so it's good to have a good fiscal partner in this kind of work. It's not just us alone, it's also the city, and we're all staying within those parameters and checks and balances and doing it right.
Member Eames?
Thank you, Bill and Adam and the whole team for making this so much clearer and cleaner. I was surprised that the grant number was only 1 million too, and I'm wondering if maybe it's just a subset of grants.
Which line?
Oh, where was it? Yeah, on page 5.
Yeah. And that's going to be a point in time.
Okay.
So you're looking at what that cash balance was. But if you actually go further into the document,
which I will.
Yeah, on pages 23, it begins on, that's where you can kind of really start to see all the different grants and specifics.
Yeah.
And those kind of appear as like a beginning year balance, what revenues were had in that particular fiscal year, what expenditures, and then what the ending year balance was.
Yeah, that's 13 plus. So that
Yeah.
fits more with my preconceived notions of what kind of
Yeah.
grants we get.
But oftentimes with grants, you know, it is kind of that,
They pass through.
it's a pass-through thing,
Yeah.
but you got to kind of catch it at a point in time.
Right.
And so this document kind of is useful in that, because you can go through and say, where were we with, where are we with that? Where did we end with that grant? And that kind of ensures that you've done all your invoicing and everything correctly
Yeah.
as well.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
I would add that, so this is an audit of our local books, but we also have audits that come to us by way of the state and the federal government, which are separate. As a pretty large receiver of some state and federal dollars, we often become one of the school districts that is randomly selected. Doesn't feel random when you get it every single time, but our grant team has worked closely with the business office to make sure all of that work is done well also. So we're actually in the process of a grant audit right now. It's going well though.
Member Whitlow?
Yeah, so off of the grant conversation, some of these are listed as grant. And the rest of them are like Title I, title whatever. So the ones that are listed as grant, is that do those total up to the grant line of the 1 point something? Do we know, or I'm just curious because something or things are.
Sorry.
Sorry.
When you get to talk about grants too, it can get in this little confusion thing, and you have to look at it as special revenue. So oftentimes you'll see the federal grant designation, and those are those ones with the numbers. And then there'll be other amounts that they call state or other. And those particular ones could be, say, from the John T. Gorman Foundation. And with the federal, obviously, there's more. There's a lot more oversight, because it's not just looking through here what passed through and providing that number. It's also the feds looking at it, and then some foundations are a little less. They just want to see an ending financial statement that says 0. So sometimes you might even see some grants in there with very little amount of dollars, because you got to figure out, how do we spend $2 and not cut a check back, kind of thing. So,
Member Damon?
but I'm happy to answer any questions too.
I'd make the motion to receive and do we need a motion to receive this or accept it, or we're just reviewing it?
So it's just a review. I had looked in the past and it didn't have to be approved by us. But if there are concerns, we could certainly bring them back to our HR to get more information.
All right. Agenda item number 13 is to review and potentially vote on the second reading of policies itemized as A through K.
So these are all the same policies you voted on as a first read at our last meeting. There has been no changes to them since the last meeting. I'm just bringing them back for the second reading and approval, but happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Member Hurd?
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve agenda item 13A through K.
Member Beauplant?
I'd like to second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Agenda item number 14 is report from the school committee chair. I attended Lewiston Middle School's family night on Thursday night, and it was so much fun. They had a scavenger hunt throughout the school with math problems and barcode scanners, and I walked more through that school that night than I probably have in my entire life. And we went all over the place. And then there was a lovely 8th grade student named Bridget who gave me henna. And it was a good time. There was a lot of people there and it was a lot of fun. And that's all I have to report. Number 15 is report from the superintendent.
My cold's getting better, I think. That's my report. No, kind of big news last week. We received the mental health grant that we had shared with you all that we were going to aggressively go after. We still don't have all the details on the constraints of that, but we've been selected as a school to be one of the top receivers. It's a 5-year grant with significant funds attached to it. My read of it is that it was initially designed to be heavy on mental health professionals. But because of the lack of mental health professionals in the field, that's why there's still conversation on what these funds can and cannot be used for. So we'll bring that back to you once we know more. That's programming we're excited to do. I don't recall if we said it last week or not, but I did want to mention some folks here joined also, but Central Maine Community College recognized Lewiston Public Schools as the Community Collaborator of the Year. Primarily for our work with student placements, student enrollments, and also our educator pathway efforts. So this is everything from high school students getting dual credits and exploring those programs, job shadowing apprenticeships, and also our teacher educator force that's continuing to get their training on that pathway to becoming fully certified with their bachelor's degree. So working closely with that. I actually also want to mention the family night because I had a number of things shared back to me that included some pretty neat things of kids singing karaoke with multiple grade levels. And there were students there from elementary schools. So there was a bit of an invite to, hey, come check out the middle school, not just to celebrate the middle school family night piece. And that was highly successful and they want to grow that in the future. The only complaint I heard about that event was that they ran out of pizza. So, but I think that's a kudos to our community because when you appropriate a certain amount of food for the group that you anticipate having and you have more than that, that's a good problem. That's good engagement. So those were my things. Did you want to add anything?
It really was a great turnout. I've been to a lot of the events at the schools and I saw a lot of people there. I thought it was really impressive. Agenda item number 16 is report from our city council rep.
Thank you. I have a few things tonight. So city council met twice last week to finalize the budget in preparation for tomorrow night, where we're going to have the votes for just about everything. We'll be voting not only on the school budget, but the city budget, CDBG funds, several different things. We'll also tomorrow night, we have a very big agenda for tomorrow night. We'll also be doing a workshop on proposed new changes to driveway openings on city streets, excavation and street opening policy. We've got several things with the planning board recommendations on zoning and land use codes. And again, a bunch of budget stuff. There's a couple other things I wanted to bring up as well. There was quite a conversation that happened maybe 2 weeks ago on social media about the Montel playground equipment. And I just wanted to reassure the community that that is currently in the Lewiston's capital improvement plan budget for this year. And that work will begin to be done this year. And that playground equipment will be looked at and taken care of. So I thought that that was an important piece to add. If you give me just a moment. So about a week and a half ago, I also attended via Zoom the Maine Food Waste Solutions Summit for 2023. And this was a huge conversation about recycling and composting food waste in our school systems. I'm just going to tell you that I did attend it. There is a huge presentation that I'm trying to put together and kind of bring it down a little bit so that we can have a bigger conversation on that, because I'm hoping that we can maybe present this to some of our elementary schools and really start going on the composting of some of the food from our cafeteria after lunchtime and that sort of snack time, all of the stuff. So there's a lot of different grants available for bins and containers and just a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to pull that together so that we can have a bigger conversation on that. Also, I just wanted to remind everybody that the Lewiston Youth Advisory Council will be having their event on May 11th. And one of our students this evening, Faisal, who received the full scholarship from Bowdoin, he is also a Youth Advisory Council member. And it's really amazing to see a lot of those students coming here before us for all the different things that they do with our schools. But that event will be May 11th. This is the Let Diversity Shine event. It's going to be held at LA Arts on Lisbon Street in Lewiston from 6 to 8. And I hope we have a good turnout. Thank you.
Updates from school committee subcommittees. Has anyone met? Member Damon?
We had a facilities committee meeting tonight, earlier, discussed several issues that we're working on, including the LCIP presentation, and just brought up a number of items that we're hoping to move forward as facilities has we're falling behind in the replacement of some of our roofs and things like that. So we're fighting for that, keep that going. I'll let Tanya speak to negotiations.
Well, thank you, Bruce. So we've this week have gotten back at the stipend review, which is part of the teachers, the certified professionals contract from last year that we finalized. So that's going well. We're also doing the tech negotiations and the general government. I think over the next, we meet 3 more times over the next couple weeks. And that's just, I'm sure we'll have a bunch more, but I think we're really looking at moving these negotiations forward at a good pace so that we're not sitting there doing them all summer. That is the hope and the goal. So I refuse. No, I'm just kidding. But no, they're going well. They're very, 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 very well.
Anyone else? Nope. Agenda item 18 is school committee community announcements. Member Eames?
I am told that there are some plays being put on. So I'll just mention them. I understand this weekend, we have LHS putting on the Putnam County Spelling Bee. It's Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 2:30 at the middle school.
It's a play.
The play. And then Geiger next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. So the 12th and the 13th, Geiger is putting on Seussical the Musical, the kids version at 6 p.m. and that's at Geiger.
Thank you. Member Bowden?
Thank you. I just wanted to just update you guys. The National Honor Society induction went over great. That was this past Friday, actually right after the CM awards banquet that we went to. And then coming up next week is the LRTC. I'm trying to find exactly what it's called. The Lewiston Regional Technical Center chapter of the National Technical Honor Society inductions are next week. And I believe it is May 9th and May 10th, depending on which day you attend, whether you're Blue Day or White Day. I think Blue Day is the 9th and White Day is the 10th. And those are going to be in the morning actually here on both days. So I just wanted to announce that.
Member Hurd?
Thank you. Farwell also is doing The Lion King Thursday and Friday of this week, both at 6 o'clock. We all should have received invitations from Dr. Fard regarding that, but that's this week.
At Farwell?
Yeah. Member Scott?
Thank you. I'm wondering if we can have an update for some of all the stuff that's happening. So this is the big month, right? Like ROTC is having their gala on Thursday evening here at the Green Ladle. Next Tuesday, I believe, is our top 10 luncheon. Is that next Tuesday or it's the Tuesday after? So I'm wondering if there's a possibility that that could be sent out to the school committee, all the stuff again. We've got graduation coming up, the middle school graduation, all of those details, so that I believe I have a lot in my calendar, but I'm fearful that I hate to forget. And I think it's really important that we all celebrate and I can give these dates to the city council, because last year I think was one of the first years we've seen where we had school committee, city council, everybody was there last year. And I think that's an amazing thing to support our students. And I'd like to see if we can't do that again this year.
I think we could put something together for you. Sorry.
Go ahead, Member Bowden.
Thank you. Just one more thing. I had emailed the school committee about this yesterday, I believe. But I did have a parent of a senior in our community reach out about graduation and security measures that we're taking and what that looks like this year. I did get a response from the superintendent. I think you all got it, that administration's working on it. But I just wanted to put it out there publicly that administration is working on it. And when we hear more, you're going to share that out, right? Okay, great. Thank you.
I think to the extent at which it's appropriate, so we're not sharing things that someone could use to harm.
Member Scott?
Sorry, I just want to thank Member Bowden for putting that out there, because I was going to mention that tonight as well. I really appreciate that email was sent out. Yeah, let's not share any secrets, but let's ensure that we have a safe environment for all the students and the parents that will be attending. Well, thank you.
And the committee members.
Just a reminder, next Tuesday, May 9th is the referendum vote for the school budget. So please get out and vote. We never have a very large turnout for that budget. Huh? What?
Is there a community meeting this year for the budget?
Oh.
Generally we have one, don't we?
So there'll be a town hall on Thursday if the budget is approved tomorrow. We will share that messaging out to folks.
Okay. Any future agenda items? Member Hurd?
Thank you. So I was wondering if maybe it could be like a workshop or something, but in talking to like teachers and admin and staff, and I spoke briefly before everybody got here with other members. I just feel like I'm hearing a lot of just teachers and admins and staff are taking a lot of slack, and it's not just from our students. It's actually a lot of it too is coming from parents. I had some admins speak to me. We at the elementary level use talking points as a communication with our teachers and staff and families. And the things that the admins were telling me they were receiving back from parents is mind blowing, simply because our admin and staff are reaching out to them to let them know what's going on in the school with their children. So I think there needs to be a bigger conversation here. And we talked maybe potentially, unfortunately, it seems that there needs to be something put in place like a policy in order for something to be consistent across the board through all of our schools. So I don't know if it's something, a policy that needs to be done, but I would also like to invite either admins or teachers or something to come to a workshop and tell us what they're hearing, what they're seeing, what's going on, because they're the ones that are, you know, I hate to say it, but they're the ones that are on the front lines, really. They're the ones that are in our schools every day dealing with our students and our teachers and the general public. So just kind of like what we're seeing. And kind of what brought it on was the presentation that Principal Radke presented to us last meeting. The fact that in the high school alone, there's been like 44% of new teachers. Like, how do we get them to stay? Is it the culture in schools? Is it the, like, what is going on? Like, why can't we keep teachers? And we can recruit them all we want, and we can recruit the best of the best, but unless we can get them to stay, we're really not doing ourselves any good. So just kind of a talk around like what's going on and what changes can be made, and if anybody has any ideas or input or anything like that.
Any other member of Bopalot?
As usual, I'm a step behind. Do you suggest that members attend the city council meeting tomorrow night to support the budget?
Jake would like to say yes, but he doesn't have a voice. Yes, it would be good for us to be there to show support. Yes. Member Damon?
Just as and Bill and I were talking about this the other night, Principal Radke in his presentation, he said that, you know, in the time period of doing that review, there'd been 3 principals. It's actually 5. Because forget our illustrious superintendent plus Gus. So on top of the 3 that he'd had. So it's the turn at the top is probably part of what's really making it difficult. New staff behind them is important. But if you look tonight on that probationary review, there were 204 names and 204 staff that haven't been here more than 2 years. And, you know, principal changes, there's been a bunch more assistant principals as well that weren't brought out. So that's it. Well, it's a problem, but it's something that we have to recognize how we move forward and try to prevent it going in the future. Working with all of our administrators and everybody to try to settle it down. It's difficult. During that same period of time, we had 3 superintendents as well. So it's, you know, and so it's been a tough slog. COVID certainly hasn't helped matters any, but folks have to realize that we're still succeeding at what we're doing. Could we do better? Absolutely. But it's been a long haul and an awful lot of work done for the benefit of our students. And we need to remember to recognize not only our successes, but also, you know, where some of our failures have been. But this is a successful school district. We've graduated kids out of here that have gone on to every school in the country, and great kids. 3 of them tonight. You know, it's impressive. It really is.
Member Scott?
I just wanted to remind everybody the city council meeting starts. We have a workshop at 6 o'clock till 7, and then the regular meeting at 7. And like I said, it's a big agenda, so it's going to take a while.
Member Eames?
I think our stuff is at the end.
Yes.
So I just wanted to let you all know that. Unless it's gonna get rearranged, we should be prepared to be patient. It's gonna be late.
It's going to be long.
Yeah. I don't know if public addressing the agenda items from the podium makes any sense for us or not. What's your advice?
I mean, I'm under the understanding that it's not a workshop item, so the mayor's going to have it open. So I believe that he'll allow, like he does with every other thing that's regular. If there's public that wants to speak on it, then they're going to be allowed to speak on it. I feel pretty good. I think you can. I mean, you're public just like anybody else, just like a city councilor can come here and speak to us about something. I'm hoping that we're just gonna be able to go right through it. Yeah.
So just structurally, my intentions of being there, obviously to support the budget, but I'm there to answer any questions they may have. I'm not going with a formal presentation of any kind, if that's helpful.
Future agenda items. We just did that. Sorry. Motion to adjourn. Member Hurd and seconded by Member Bopalat.